Breaking in the past hour about a possible life form visiting our solar system? But is 3I Atlas actually an alien spaceship, or is it something more innocent? Harvard astrophysicist Dr. Avi Loeb will join us this hour to analyze the data just released by NASA. Plus, will President Trump sign it? He's expected to do so, but when? I'm talking about the bill passed by the House and then hours later passed by the Senate to release the Epstein files. The bill is now sitting on the president's desk awaiting his signature. And today, some lawmakers on Capitol Hill schmoozing with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Saudi money is a big theme this week. Earlier, President Trump, along with oil, tech, and pharma executives, gathered for a forum on Saudi business. Here's what President Trump said about the new era of Saudi relations.
I want to thank my friend and great gentleman, Crown Prince Mohammed of Saudi Arabia, for his bold leadership and deep commitment to the ties between our two countries. Thank you. Thank you. Great gentleman. Yesterday, we had a phenomenal visit at the White House celebrating the 80-year bond between the United States and Saudi Arabia. We ended with an unbelievable show last night in a room that was far too small, but the next time you're here, you'll have a much bigger room.
Also this hour, not on my watch. That is what Mexico's president is basically saying. This after Trump threatened to launch strikes on drug cartels inside Mexico. But first, to President Trump, his new and improved Saudi ties. White House reporter for the Wall Street Journal, Annie Linskey, joins me. Nice to see you, Annie.
Great to see you.
Boy, we have sort of an interesting history between the United States and Saudi. Recent history is that we have President Biden calling the Crown Prince a pariah. Then we had the fist bump a few months later between Trump and this leader. And now today he's a great gentleman.
Yes. Well, yeah, the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia has gone in a million different directions. Now that Biden called Mohammed bin Salman and said the Saudis should be a pariah on the campaign trail, that came after the death and the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
He was cut up into small pieces.
He was killed and then cut up into small pieces with a bone saw. It earned Mohammed bin Salman the nickname in Washington, Mr. Bonesaw. That nickname has sort of disappeared, certainly in the last week or so, where people and some of the top industry leaders have been flocking to Washington to be in a room with bin Salman and with Trump. He had a big event last night, and then today at the Kennedy Center, a major summit meeting to talk about U.S. investment in Saudi Arabia and vice versa.
You know, it's sort of, it is troubling for a lot of reasons, but on the other hand, it is a fact the United States has to do business in a global environment. And going back to World War II, is that we were, side by side with Stalin, and he murdered about 25 million people, and we've dealt with horrible people throughout our existence. But so I mean, we do have to deal with these people.
Yeah, and Trump's foreign policy that President Trump articulated on his first real foreign trip in his second term to Saudi Arabia, he said, I believe it was in Riyadh, he said, the United States will have no permanent enemies. And that is a foreign policy, a transactional foreign policy difference from what the Biden administration had chosen. The Biden administration had a more traditional values-based, or they called it a values-based foreign policy. But Trump was articulating something different, a more transactional approach. And we have seen that approach quite successful in the Middle East with the war in Gaza, the war between Israel and Gaza. So he has had success with this approach that has stymied other administrations, but it can feel a little odd to see a person so welcomed like bin Salman.
It was also, I think, in May of 2017, Trump's first foreign trip then as well. I mean, he had both first foreign trips in the two administrations.
That's right.
But look, it's like, we shouldn't be so stubborn on our high horse when we're talking about $1 trillion pouring into the U.S. economy. If that helps everybody in America, that's not so bad. That's The
Saudis have committed, they said, $1 trillion into the U.S. economy. I think we're still waiting for the details of exactly what that's going to look like. We do know that the Saudis are quite interested in high-end microprocessors, chips, for example, from NVIDIA. That's going to be a big chunk of that investment will be in these NVIDIA chips.
And of course, we send them some F-16s.
Yes,
you know,
F-35.
we are the Walmart of military weapons.
Well, they are quite interested in our weapons platforms. The fighter jets that the United States, or that Trump has pledged to send, are some of the most advanced planes that the United States does sell to other countries. Israel has them. The Israelis, at least that I've talked to, have expressed a little bit of discomfort with the Saudis potentially getting this platform. But that is something that the president has said he'll do. There does need to be, my understanding, some congressional approval. So it's not a done deal, but it is a piece of what the Saudis will get out of this trip.
All right, you've been covering the White House for a long time, but take me back to January 20th this year and sort of march me through to now. Has it changed, or what's going on behind the scenes? What's it like to be a reporter at the White House correspondent?
Well, certainly the physical place has changed quite a bit in that the president has added, as we know, gold to the Oval Office. He, as you know, is building a ballroom. And so that does mean when you're at the White House these days, you hear some of the demolition at times. So it can be a very noisy place. One of the biggest difference is tone-wise, at least, is on Friday afternoons, there are times when the president is in the Oval Office and he plays music really loudly. So it can be like the Phantom of the Opera, and you can actually hear it in the press area. So you hear this music kind of blasting from the Oval Office, and and we're told that the president is the sort of DJ in chief in these moments.
He's got his playlist. He's got his
playlist.
On his iPhone, he's got a playlist where he can play this music.
Yeah. So sort of there are occasional Friday afternoons when you get the sense that the president is unwinding a little bit, and you can hear that. And that's new to me. I covered the Obama White House, covered the Biden White House, and a little bit of the first Trump White House, and I hadn't heard that before. And so there's a very specific tone that he has brought to the place.
He's so shrewd about finance. I think he had a missed opportunity when he demolished the East Wing, that portion.
Yeah.
He could have sold pieces of plaster. I would have paid for a little piece of plaster of the East Wing. He could have made a fortune in money for the White House, for the Treasury, because I think everybody would like a little piece of the White House.
You're not the first to mention that. There were some readers who emailed in to the Wall Street Journal that very same idea. Instead, my understanding is a lot of that sort of debris was sent to Haynes, a public golf club or golf course that's in the middle of the Potomac, to sort of shore up some of that the land there.
Okay, Carolyn Leavitt's press secretary, is she accessible in the sense that we see her on TV doing it, but when you have a question, she says, "I'll follow up on that follow-up." Press secretaries always say that. Does she follow up? Or
she does. She has. She's quite different from some of the other press secretaries that I've worked with, particularly with Biden. President Biden wasn't spending very much time with his press secretaries, and so they didn't really understand his thinking. Caroline has a very close relationship with the president. She is with him in the Oval Office. She's with him on Air Force One, and what that means is behind closed doors, she can walk people through what is the president thinking. She can provide that context, and it's such a valuable resource to us as reporters and to readers to really understand, okay, when the president said this, there's a whole lot of work that went behind that one comment, and she is sort of uniquely able to talk people through that.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The different White Houses, the different sort of personalities the White House has, different ones. Annie Linskey, the Wall Street Journal, thank you. And coming up, one world leader is putting her foot down. She says it's not going to happen. Who is she, and what is she referring to? That when the record continues.
The 47th President of the United States of America.
And, I wouldn't say Fox has been exactly perfect. Fox has been a big difference of Fox between now and what it was 4 years ago, as you know. But we have others that come along, and they're doing well, and Newsmax has been really good, and, others are coming along. And people are seeing that they're watching these conservative networks.
President Trump is right. That's why millions of Americans are tuning into Newsmax for the real news they can trust.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians. Bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror. Hamas must go.
Hello, this is Franklin Graham. This Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for? You're thankful for family, your friends. How about God? That's right. Are you thankful for God? You see, God made you. He created you. He loves you. And you say, but Franklin, my life is in such a mess. I'm not sure I'm thankful for my life. Well, that's why God sent his son, Jesus Christ, to this earth to save us from this mess of sin that we live in. You see, that's right. God sent his son, Jesus Christ, to this earth to take your sins. He died and shed his blood on a cross for our sins, but on the third day, God raised him to life. He's not dead. He's alive. And he'll come into your heart right now if you invite him. Just pray this prayer with me. Just say, God, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I want to invite Jesus to come into my heart, to take control of my life. I want to surrender my life to him. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, call that number that's on the screen.
There are two major updates on two cases involving accusations of weaponizing the government. First, former FBI Director James Comey and his lawyers appeared before a federal judge in Virginia. They want the DOJ criminal case against Comey dropped. Comey's lawyers argue their client Jim Comey is subject to a selective and vindictive prosecution by the Trump administration. In September, Comey was indicted for making false statements to Congress and obstruction of justice. He denies it. The charges stem from his Senate testimony in 2020 related to the Russia hoax. Also today, a former aide to former special counsel Jack Smith was referred to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. That allegation, also obstruction of justice. Jack Smith's aide is Thomas Windham. Windham was a senior assistant special counsel, and today in a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan writes about Windham, quote, his blanket and frequently overbroad assertions of privileges and other objections, including under the Fifth Amendment, have obstructed the committee's attempt to seek important information about the recent functions of the Department of Justice and special counsel Jack Smith. Jordan also writes, quote, his conduct can only be understood as an intentional effort to thwart the committee's inquiry by improperly keeping information from the committee. Former federal prosecutor and former attorney for President Trump, Jim Trusty, joins me. Nice to see you, Jim.
You too.
Okay, the Comey indictment, late this afternoon, some information came out that says the Justice Department says the full grand jury in Comey case did not review the copy of the final indictment, that only apparently the foreperson and a second grand jury.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Death by 1,000 cuts, right? I mean, there's just been a lot of irregular components to this investigation, to the timing of the indictment, to parachuting Lindsay Halligan in to be the U.S. attorney, to her having to do it by herself with no other attorneys in the room. So all of that seems to be starting to really bite the government in the butt in a place where you're in unusual territory. Usually the judge will not just say, go ahead and look at the grand jury minutes. Let's review what happened inside the grand jury. That's kind of sacrosanct. But here there was enough of a preliminary finding for the magistrate judge, Bill Fitzpatrick, to say, let's look at it. And it's got problems, to be sure.
The Constitution does not say how many grand juries have to vote for conviction, but one of the rules, I think, says 12 of 16 to 23 grand juries. So you need 12, right? Is that your experience?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here, they only had 2 who looked at the final copy, the foreperson, the grand jury, and a second grand jury, which is that's quite a leap from 12.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm with you on the math, but what I would say is in a normal world, if there's nothing else irregular about this situation, you could probably argue some sort of ratification. We had an indictment that had 3 counts. They no-billed the 3rd count. They've effectively voted on this indictment, this piece of paper.
That's a rough, I mean, when you start doing that kind of stuff before a federal judge about an indictment, you run thin ice.
No, you're running uphill. I mean, and the problem is there's so many other elements to this that are not going well in terms of whether she exceeded the interim authority of 120 days, which again, I think that's a winning argument. It was a winning argument.
That's winning argument number 2.
Yeah, but and it sounds technical, but all of which is where you're backed up against the end of the statute of limitations charging period. That's the problem. I mean, there is a statute that allows for kind of extending the statute of limitations, but I just don't see the love coming from the bench where that's going to happen.
I don't see, if this indictment is thrown out and the statute has run as of late September, I don't see any authority or leeway. I don't see any authority for letting her go back into a grand jury and re-indict.
Yeah.
I think it's over at that point.
I think practically it is. There's a statute that suggests it's a possibility, but you take all these things added together. Even the Attorney General's ratification of the indictment, which was an interesting kind of effort, had to backdate itself. On October 31st, AG Bondi said effective September 25th or whenever. So there's so many little hoops that are coming together in a bad way for the government. Judge Fitzgerald, among others, there's like 3 judges in the litigation. He's all over it, and that's not boding well. And so I think that, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the selective or the vindictive prosecution claims. Those are kind of high bar, political feel-good moments to file that pleading. But this authority issue seems like a winner.
Well, who should have known better? I mean, if the Justice Department, if the Justice Department intended to investigate and bring this matter to the grand jury, doing it on the eve of the statute running is pretty stupid. You agree?
Well, haste makes waste.
Haste makes waste.
Yeah, they were in a position where they're scrambling.
They could have done it in May. They could have done it in January. Could have done it in February. Could have done it any time.
Yeah, a lot of infighting behind the scenes probably going on with EDVA. People got fired. People were removed from office. People were saying we won't do this case. So, look, I wasn't there. I don't know the inside story. But anytime a prosecutor's making a huge, high-profile decision, that close to the end, with days to spare for the statute of limitations, it has a bad ring to it. It has, a sense of problems beleaguering this case from the beginning.
And if you're going to bring a case, a high-profile case, you better have everything locked up so that you win, because it looks bad. It's going to look really bad for the Justice Department and for the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, look, whatever happens, let's say it only gets dismissed without prejudice somehow. You could theoretically go back and indict it. It's still a black eye. Even if you get to that point of having kind of a Pyrrhic victory, it still looks pretty bad for the department. A lot of scrambling, a lot of things where we can second guess it. I feel bad for Lindsay Halligan. I know her personally. I like her. But she's in a position that's just ugly, and it's not all of her own making.
I know, I don't know her, and I understand that you like her, but is she experienced enough that she should have taken this case or any other case before the grand jury?
Well, she's been a lawyer for a long time.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean a lot of lawyers, work at West Publishing Company. They've never been in a courtroom.
No, I hear you. I mean, look, it is a recipe for problems when you have no experience as a prosecutor and you're not getting support from others at that critical juncture. If she had other people in the room with her, you have you have legal arguments that are available, you have a back check of people with experience, but that just didn't happen.
Yeah,
there was nobody from EDVA that sat in the room with her, nobody from Maine Justice that sat in the room with her.
It's like sticking a public defender, though, who hasn't even had a misdemeanor case in on a first-degree murder defense case. I mean, you build up your experience.
No, I hear you. Look, I'm old. I'm a big fan of experience, and I've been in the criminal justice system a long time. And you could see once they got to the point of a judge saying, "Let's look at the grand jury," as soon as they start seeing moments of guidance from somebody who doesn't have prosecutorial experience, flags are going off like this could be a problem.
I don't ever remember any judge ever looking at a grand jury indictment, grand jury minutes in a case I had.
Yeah, I had death penalty trials. I had RICO cases as a prosecutor. I don't remember getting to the point where a judge thought that there was something to pierce. There was something serious enough about the accusation.
You figure out the trial would cure any defects, in theory.
Yeah, true.
Jim Trusty, thank you.
All right, good to see you.
Not going to happen. That's the message from Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum. Yesterday, President Sheinbaum was asked about the possibility of U.S. intervention against drug cartels in Mexico. Here was the president's response.
Sí, no va a ocurrir, a menos que nosotros lo pidiéramos. Ellos intervendrían y nosotros no lo vamos a pedir.
President Sheinbaum also said that she told President Trump many times that Mexico will not accept any intervention by a foreign government, which, of course, the United States is to Mexico. Florida Congressman and member of the House Armed Services Committee, Carlos Gimenez, joins me. Good evening, sir. And is it likely, or do you think, or would you advise, in light of the fact that all these cartels are poisoning people here in the United States with fentanyl and everything else, that the United States would actually step over the line into Mexico to get these cartels?
Well, I think that the number one job of any government is to protect its citizens. And obviously the Mexican government isn't doing anything to protect the lives of American citizens. And maybe America has to take unilateral action to make sure that doesn't happen. And so, look, there's other pressure points that you can apply to Mexico, which I would try first, which is, we're negotiating a trade agreement right now. Mexico's government, Mexico's economy is reliant on the United States, and I think that there's a lot of pressure that we can exert there. I'm not saying that the first thing you should do is go ahead and take action against these cartels. There are other things that we can do to apply pressure, but at the end, it is the #1 responsibility of the United States to protect its citizens, and without a doubt, the Mexican cartels have been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans over the past 5 years. Some people estimate between 500,000 and 1 million people. I'm sure that President Sheinbaum doesn't, think it's all that important, to her, but it is important to us. And so I would ask President Trump to exert as much pressure as possible and demonstrate to President Sheinbaum that if she doesn't take care of this issue, doesn't take care of this problem, and tries to do her part, then we're going to exert as much pressure as we can to make sure it happens.
Okay, I've heard horrible stories for years about how the cartels basically own the government. I'm not suggesting that this new president is owned by the cartels, but certainly people that work underneath her. You hear these terrible stories about judges and lawyers either being paid off or being eliminated if they don't do what is expected or wanted of them. And President Trump has named these cartels foreign terrorist organizations, and it really does sort of, it's not that much different, I don't think, than President Bush, 43, going into Afghanistan looking for Osama bin Laden. What is the difference in that? It's just it's farther away.
There is none. I am not arguing with you about that at all. I think that there is no difference with that, except that when President Bush sent American troops to fight a war 5, 6, 7,000 miles away for 20 years, we're talking about a terrorist organization that had killed maybe 3,000, 4,000 Americans total. These multinational terrorist organizations, the Mexican drug cartels, have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. So I don't argue that point with you at all. But you want to give the Mexican government the first opportunity to take care of the problem inside their own country. I'm saying that's what you do first.
How patient should we be? How long?
And then
how long and how patient?
I'm not patient at all, man. I would not be that patient at all, okay? Because like I said, the #1 duty of the government, of any government, is protecting its people. We have been woefully inadequate in protecting the American people from these Mexican drug cartels. But it has to be very clear to the president of Mexico that, hey, if you don't do it, we're going to have to do it because we have to protect our citizens.
And I do think that the president of Mexico would take President Trump as serious, because President Trump doesn't sort of, when he says things, he usually does it. So I think she probably would want to pay attention to him on this.
I would, if I were her.
The other thing sort of interesting in this is that how President Trump and President Trump hasn't done it, but President Bush did do it, how the sort of declaration of war, which we haven't done since I don't know when, has been sort of outsourced from Congress, and that the presidents do these interventions by executive order, these strikes in these other countries. It's different now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and we did the same things. We've done this with terrorist organizations. I think that Monday's designation of the Cartel de los Soles in Venezuela as a foreign terrorist organization is going to be very important, because there's some certain actions that we can take, against them in addition to what we've already been doing. And so if I were Nicolas Maduro, I'd be looking at that development and be kind of worried about him. #1, he's the illegitimate ruler of Venezuela. There is a legitimate government waiting to take power, which he has denied them the ability to take over control of Venezuela. We have a $50 million bounty on his capture. And we've also labeled him as the head of that cartel. And so, things are a little bit different now than they used to be in the past.
Yeah, which is different because President of Mexico is not the head of a cartel, but Maduro is the head of a cartel with the bounty, as you noted. Congressman Carlos Gimenez, thank you, sir. And this afternoon, First Lady Melania Trump and Second Lady Usha Vance took a trip to North Carolina. The two visited service members and their families at Camp Lejeune. Camp Lejeune is the largest Marine Corps base on the East Coast. Here is First Lady Melania Trump.
I want to thank you, all of you, because you and military families are behind our nation's defense. and thank you for your service. My husband, the president, is sending best regards. We are both thinking of you, and you're in our thoughts and prayers for holidays every day, but especially for the holidays.
Coming up, what is 3I Atlas? Do we finally know? NASA just gave a big update. That one, the record continues.
9 out of 10 of us wouldn't make it.
What if we all lost power, no lights, our water and food supply at risk? Find out how an EMP attack threatens America. Watch Grid Down, Power Up with Dennis Quaid on Newsmax.
Nobody knows Corvettes like McMulkin Chevrolet, the world's largest Corvette dealer for 4 consecutive years. Last year, over 1,800 new Corvettes were purchased from McMulkin Chevrolet, setting a record for the highest number of new Corvettes ever sold in a calendar year by one single dealership. Experience why Corvette enthusiasts from all over the USA continue to choose McMulkin Chevrolet, with hundreds of Corvettes in stock and ready for immediate delivery nationwide.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
There's nothing worse than losing your dog before their time.
That's why I created Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, designed to help dogs with everything from digestive issues to itching, even moving better.
Nature's Blend works because it's freeze-dried. So instead of destroying the nutrients with high heat, they all get right into your dog's body.
Take it from a veterinarian with over 50 years of experience saving dogs' lives. I have never seen a food make this much impact on a dog's health.
For a limited time, get up to 54% off Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, plus a free gift with our special TV offer. Call or go to drmartypets.com/TV.
President Trump promised to lower prescription costs, and now he's delivered.
Medicine costs are coming way down.
Pfizer has agreed to offer countless prescription medications at major discounts in the United States.
And we are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world.
Under President Donald Trump, over 100 million patients will receive America First prices.
Big winner of this deal clearly will be the American patient.
This would not have happened without President Trump's leadership.
Delivering lower prices for patients. With Donald Trump, America wins.
Nearly home.
Whodunit? We're looking for a house closer to everything, but we don't know where to start.
Find it with Realtor.com. With Real Commute, it's easy to find a home closer to what's ever close to your heart. Do y'all recycle? Realtor.com.
Invest in Ukraine now. Ukraine is rebuilding, innovating, and shaping the future. Because Ukraine is the potential. Kyivstar is Ukraine's leading digital operator. Invests in Ukraine's connectivity, entertainment, ride-hailing, healthcare, and innovation. It's time to think opportunity. It's time to think Ukraine now.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
Well, the wait's over. We have another glimpse of an interstellar object that has become a public obsession. NASA has just unveiled high-resolution photos of the comet known as 3I Atlas. The comet is only the third known object from outside our solar system to pass through our solar system. Some say it could be an alien mothership. Moments ago, NASA said this.
Right away, of course, NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office they studied it, and they established that 3I Atlas is not a danger to Earth. In fact, it's at least twice as far away as the distance between the Earth and our sun.
Lucy was 240 million miles away from 3I Atlas, which is circled in the center, when its high-resolution LORRI camera caught the comet. You can see the comet's coma, the fuzzy halo of gas and dust surrounding 3I Atlas, and its tail, a smudge extending to the right of the comet.
Director of the Institute for Theory and Computation at Harvard University, Dr. Avi Loeb, joins me. I look at that picture and all those dots look the same to me. So tell me, why? Tell me about this picture that we just saw showing the comet.
Well, there were no new insights as to the properties of this object. From this NASA press conference, they pretty much repeated things that we already knew. We knew about the Hubble data, the Webb telescope data, and then the new data, for example, the image from the high-rise camera on board the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter that should have been the sharpest that we have, just showed a fuzzy ball of light similar to the Hubble image that we already saw before. And there was some data from MAVEN on Mars that indicated hydrogen, but these are details. Nothing in the big picture changed. And, the point is that the presenters should have emphasized what we don't understand rather than insist about what is familiar. And, as I say, the foundation of science is the humility to learn something new rather than the arrogance of expertise. That's what the public resonates with. And, I pointed out 12 anomalies about this object. The most important among them is the size. This object is a million times more massive than the first interstellar object, 1,000 times more massive than the second interstellar object. And why didn't we see millions?
Let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
So you talk about those interstellar objects, and I was doing a little research, and this is the third one. This one right now is the third one. And the first one was in 2017. The second one is 2019. Are you telling me that none ever happened before 2017? And if none ever happened before 2017, how come we're suddenly now getting 3 in 8 years?
No, there were many that passed before. It's just that we didn't have survey telescopes that are capable of detecting them. These survey telescopes were designed to find near-Earth objects because the Congress tasked NASA in 2005 to find 90% of all objects bigger than a football field that may come close to Earth because of the risk that they pose if they were to impact the Earth. So as a result of that, over the past decade, there were survey telescopes that allowed us to find these objects by chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, if Congress wants you to investigate, wants NASA to investigate something to find out if it's going to impact the Earth, what can we do anyway? I mean, if it's coming here, if let's say this particular comet are going to hit the Earth, and we just should have buckle up and what would happen?
No, if we're dealing with rocks or icy rocks, we can deflect them. If we catch them early enough, just a small nudge could actually make them pass far from Earth. And so that's the trick. And in fact, there was a mission called DART where NASA demonstrated that colliding a spacecraft with an object can deflect it significantly. So that's possible. I mean, there are various methods to deflect them. But this method of preventing a rock from hitting the Earth does not work for a technological object because it can maneuver, or it may have an intent, or it may have abilities that we cannot cope with. It's just like ants in the crack of a pavement looking at a biker that passes nearby. They cannot do much about it. And that may be the situation when we encounter alien technology.
All right, we're going to know more in about a month, or it comes closest to the Earth in about a month, right? I think that's what you told me last time. On
December 19th, and in the coming weeks, we'll have a trove of data, a flood of data that would be very helpful at figuring out all the properties. I mean, we already saw in recent weeks 7 jets coming from this object, some towards the sun, some away from the sun. And we haven't seen yet a very detailed image from a large telescope, but I expect that in the coming weeks. So by the holidays, I expect us to know much more about this object. And let's just hope that it will not deliver any unwanted gifts to Earth. That's all.
Okay, what's the unwanted gift? I'll bite on that one. What unwanted gift?
Okay, so there are 2 possibilities. If it's a natural object, it could, for example, fragment. There could be pieces of it that make their way closer to Earth. Or if it's a mothership, a technological mothership, you could have mini probes that are released and reach close to Earth. So we need to monitor whether there is any unusual activity near Earth. We have a lot of eyes on the sky. And also near Mars. There are orbiters there, there are rovers there. Just check for unusual activity, any objects that arrived that were not there to start with.
You know, it's so fascinating to listen to this. It makes me think, I wish I hadn't gone to law school. I should have gone, because it's just endless.
And I think, it's never too late, Greta. I'll be delighted to work with you if you wanted.
Well, I think I first need to go back and try, working on my high school chemistry. I was a little bit.
Oh no, you can come to my class. I teach some of the basics on this, and it won't take you long to figure things out. The beauty of science is that it's not up to people to decide what nature is. We just need to observe nature and figure it out. It's like a detective story, so it's much better than politics, because in politics you get a lot of misinformation.
Indeed, again. All right, well, I'm going to take you up on that class. You probably shouldn't have said that. I'll take you up on that. Dr. Avi Loeb, thank you very much, sir. And I hope to see you on the 19th of December when we're talking about getting the closest to the Earth. Thank you, sir.
I'll be delighted. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have an update to a story we brought you yesterday. It involves former United States Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. Summers has now resigned from the board of OpenAI. This comes several days after Congress released emails that showed Summers shared a close relationship, so close that Summers saw dating tips with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Harvard University, where Summers is still a professor but no longer its president, said they will now open an investigation into Summers and other individuals associated with Harvard who were mentioned in the Epstein emails. Coming up, why is Poland up in arms? That when the record continues.
I'm Michael Savage, and I was conservative before conservative was cool. Do you realize how crazy the liberals in this country have become? I do. You want to get me started today? I'll get started. Watch Michael Savage and the Savage Nation every Sunday night.
Are you or a loved one a military veteran that has been diagnosed with mesothelioma? Do you have questions about getting the best treatment or paying medical bills? Have you received the proper care and compensation you deserve? Let our firm serve you with the same dedication you served your country. We are exclusively devoted to helping those with mesothelioma. Call now to get this free book, and we'll answer any question you have. We'll even visit you.
Call 800-555-8958 or go to mesobook.com.
WeatherTech presents
Deck the halls with gifts so happy, la 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 la. Made right here so nothing's crappy, la 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 la. Razor measure, perfect fitting, la 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 la. Auto, home, and even pets too. Perfect gifts for me and perfect gifts for you.
Happy Holidays start at WT.com.
I am a coach and an alum of Girls on the Run. Kids today carry a lot of stress, from school pressure to social isolation to overuse of devices. We create a space where girls can connect, build confidence, and learn skills like managing emotions, setting goals, and speaking up. Each child's experience is different, and families need support. I'm proud to be part of a comprehensive solution to youth mental health. Get involved today at EmpowerOurFutureCoalition.com.
Afraid your roof won't make it through the winter? Roofmax can tune up and restore your roof for a fraction of the cost of a replacement. Call now, and the tune-up portion is free with your Roofmax treatment.
Drop is finally here. Drop delivers the weight loss benefits of GLP-1 injections in easy-to-use oral drops, no needles.
That's right. The two big drawbacks with weight loss injections are high costs in weekly injections. Drop is flavorless and odorless, so you can just add it to water or your favorite beverage. Drop offers other advantages over injections too. With Drop, you can personalize your dosage based on your weight loss goals.
And because you add Drop to any liquid, there's no concern about injection site infections, bruising, or dosage confusion.
Drop is the easier, safer, cost-effective alternative to help you achieve your weight loss goals without the needles.
Can't find it anywhere? The Wellness Company has it. No consultation needed. Simply order online and use promo code SLIM to save $100. Visit dropthepounds.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim.
Studies show testosterone levels are at an all-time low, and you can see it in the state of our society. Men need testosterone to be men. That's why the patriots at Chalk.com developed a natural supplement blend to boost testosterone production. This holiday season only, get Chalk's most popular bundle at just $19.99 for your first month subscription. Cancel anytime, but we don't think you'll want to. Go to Chalk.com/BF, claim yours today.
Nothing is stopping Putin. Overnight, Russia launched a massive attack on western Ukraine, and at least 25 people were killed. The attacks were so heavy, it forced Poland to temporarily close 2 airports. Meanwhile, Poland is deploying 10,000 soldiers to help protect its country's infrastructure. This after a Polish rail line was bombed. Poland blames Russia for the attack and called it an act of sabotage. Foreign correspondent Shelby Wilder is in Kyiv, Ukraine, where it is 11:41 p.m. local time. Shelby.
Good to be with you, Greta. Yeah, just adding to what you said, Poland also announced today that it's closing Russia's last remaining consulate in the country after Polish officials accused Moscow of directing that, what they called act of state terrorism, targeting Poland's railway infrastructure. And otherwise, back to the Russian attacks overnight. One Russian drone flew roughly 5 miles into Romanian airspace before disappearing from radar, prompting both Romania and fellow NATO member Poland to scramble fighter jets as Russia launched 476 drones and 48 missiles on Ukraine. And this country is in mourning tonight after Russia's deadly assault across multiple regions that left more than 26 civilians dead. That's the latest figure, and that includes 3 children. Another 142 people are injured. 15 children are among that figure as well. And these numbers have continued to climb as rescue crews have pulled more bodies from the rubble, even this evening. And some of the worst devastation has been in residential areas where entire apartment blocks were destroyed and families were killed inside their homes as these missiles just slammed into these buildings. This marked one of Russia's deadliest attacks on western Ukraine, a region far from the front lines, with the barrage causing widespread infrastructure damage and triggering emergency power outages. Separately, the Trump administration has sent a delegation here to Kyiv for peace and a technology sharing mission. The U.S. delegation is meeting with Ukrainian military and government officials, including Volodymyr Zelensky, as well as defense industry leaders to discuss the country's drone and weapons development programs. The group is led by Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, who is accompanied by 2 top U.S. military generals. Driscoll has often pointed to Ukraine's rapid drone innovation as a model for how the U.S. military should accelerate weapons productions for a fast-changing battlefield. And he is expected to brief the White House on his findings once he returns to Washington, calling this visit part of a broader fact-finding mission aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. And otherwise, we are already different parts of Ukraine are under attack tonight. We know that drones are already being launched across various parts of the country. So we will be following the developments to see if it's going to be yet another long and difficult night. Hopefully not, but we will see, Greta.
Shelby, you've been following this for so long for us, and you've been in Ukraine so many times since the war broke out. Do you have a sense that the war is getting bigger and broader, or do you have a sense that Ukraine is losing steam? Tell me your thought.
I think that Russia right now is in a very strong position. Russia certainly Vladimir Putin doesn't feel like he has any need to stop the war. That is why we are seeing this increase in mass civilian attacks taking place. Last Friday in Kyiv, 6 people were killed here, numerous civilians injured, seeing this death toll today. And also Russia has launched this renewed offensive in the east of Ukraine, throwing bodies at a problem, losing 7,000 approximately soldiers a week. But Vladimir Putin doesn't care about his soldiers. He only cares about his aims in this war. And evidently he's not wanting to stop unless it's on his terms. So right now, Ukraine continues to fight with extreme courage and bravery, as we know, but Russia is in a very, very powerful position at the moment. And we're going to see, again, we're hearing these reports that there is a 28-point peace plan that is going to be presented or is being presented to Ukraine and the Europeans by the Trump administration that have been working alongside the Russians. This is tonight bringing a lot of alarm in Kiev as they're afraid that this could be aligned with Russia's maximalist demands. But again, we haven't seen that document. We don't know what's in it, but we're certainly following very, very closely to be trying to determine what is going to happen next in more than 3.5 years of the full-scale invasion, Greta.
Shelby Wilder in Ukraine, it's just unthinkable to think these civilians go to bed and they could get hit with drones or missiles. The rest of us here in the United States, it's just so unthinkable to us. And Shelby, do great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Greta.
Back in the U.S., a federal judge has temporarily blocked a Texas law that requires certain public school districts display the Ten Commandments. Back in June, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed the law known as Senate Bill 10. Then in September, the American Civil Liberties Union and a group of families filed a lawsuit. Yesterday, a United States District Court judge in Texas temporarily blocked Senate Bill 10. The judge ruled it violates the Establishment Clause of the United States Constitution, which states that, in part, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has already sued 2 school districts for not complying with this law. Next step is likely the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. Coming up, so much outrage today. We have 3 stories you have to hear to believe. That when the record continues.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
Tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
Create a daily workout. Whatever workout means for you. We are Create, the creatine gummy made from Creapure, the gold standard of creatine monohydrate. Learn more about Create at trycreate.co.
This is the story of the one who knows that being ready for the unexpected comes from having a partner like Grainger, whose professional-grade products and next-day delivery help ensure that he and his team are prepared to rise to every challenge, so he can be confident that he has what he needs when he needs it to help keep patients safe and happy. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I don't know about you, but I like things the easy way. That's why the Experian app is great. It shows me credit cards based on me and my credit. Right here in the app. Oh, look at that. I just found a new cashback card. Easy. Get the app from your big financial friend, Experian.
Hello, this is Franklin Graham. This Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for? You're thankful for family, your friends. How about God? That's right. Are you thankful for God? You see, God made you. He created you. He loves you. And you say, but Franklin, my life is in such a mess. I'm not sure I'm thankful for my life. Well, that's why God sent his son, Jesus Christ, to this earth to save us from this mess of sin that we live in. You see, that's right. God sent his son, Jesus Christ, to this earth to take your sins. He died and shed his blood on a cross for our sins, but on the 3rd day, God raised him to life. He's not dead. He's alive. And he'll come into your heart right now if you invite him. Just pray this prayer with me. Just say, God, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I want to invite Jesus to come into my heart, to take control of my life. I want to surrender my life to him. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, call that number that's on the screen.
It is time for our Outrage of the Day alert. Today's outrage involves a plot to give poisoned candy to Jewish children in New York City. Can you believe that? The leader of a neo-Nazi group in Eastern Europe is behind this horrific plot. This week he pleaded guilty to soliciting hate crimes and sending instructions to make bombs and, of course, poison, a plot to poison Jewish children. The now convicted defendant is 22 years old from the country of Georgia. His nickname is Commander Butcher. He faces a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. And well, these days, there seems to be no shortage of outrage. Here's our second outrage of the day. This one involves a hospital and its staff. Over the weekend, a woman named Mercedes Wells was turned away from a hospital in Crown Point, Indiana, despite telling the people at the hospital that she was in labor. Her family says she was in active labor and in pain. The hospital told her to come back later because she was not dilated enough. 8 minutes away, when she left the hospital, Mercedes gave birth. Her family says her husband, Leon, delivered their baby, her fourth, in their truck while on the phone with 911. The new parents and their lawyer spoke to reporters.
I was stripped of my dignity. I was stripped of my dignity as a person because I was treated less than an animal. I almost felt like she wanted me to suffer because as she watched me suffer, she understands. As a licensed nurse, you understand that there could be, labor is hard, very hard. Sometimes it could become fatal giving birth.
The couple does not plan to sue the hospital, but they want to make sure that this does not happen to another family. The hospital has launched an investigation. The president and CEO of the hospital released a statement. It reads in part, quote, "We are grateful to learn from online and media reports that both mother and child are reportedly doing well. It is important to note that the videos and the narrative surrounding them do not accurately represent Franciscan Health Crown Point's Catholic Healthcare Ministry's values, which include respect for life, compassionate concern, and Christian stewardship," end quote. And speaking of outrage, wait until you hear this one. This is our third. The infamous Fulton County Jail in Georgia is getting worse, if that's even possible. The jail is on your screen. How could it possibly get worse? Well, 10 months ago in January, the jail conditions having been so bad for so long, they finally forced the United States Department of Justice, Fulton County, and Fulton County Sheriff Patrick Labatt to sign a legally binding agreement to improve the miserable, unconstitutional conditions at that jail. As part of that agreement, known as a consent decree, the county and sheriff's office were given 30 days to create an implementation plan for the jail. That plan was meant to set a schedule for policy changes and trainings to meet the minimum required standards under the Constitution. But it turns out that implementation plan never developed and is now 9 months past that 30-day deadline. To make matters worse, if that's even possible, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, not a single person from the county nor the sheriff's office can even give a reason why the implementation plan is still not ready. Disgraceful, isn't it? By the way, this is the jail in DA Fawny Willis's jurisdiction where she sends defendants who can't make bail to jail with the judge. Coming up, key testimony on Capitol Hill from a dog. That's when the record continues.